Hello everyone and welcome back to your Year of Tarot, and today we are looking at the Suit of Swords, the pip cards, the Ace to 10 within the swords. So get your deck, get comfy, get cozy, and let's learn some cards. I have got notes today, otherwise I will wax lyrical about cards for a very long time, and I want to keep us on track. Today we are looking at the Suit of Swords. We are specifically looking at the pip cards. I explained in an earlier lesson that we've separated the pip and the court cards so that we can spend more dedicated time on the court cards, as they're something that trip a lot of people up. When we're looking at the Suit of Swords, we're looking at the element of air. So we're looking at conflict, communication, intellect, ideas, anything kind of being in and of the mind. This is an imaginative and powerful suit within the deck. You've already got a fundamental knowledge of the cards and how we read them because of the lessons that we've had so far. You've looked at the elements, you've looked at numerology, and last lesson in our introduction to the minor arcana, you looked at the method that we're going to use to actually learn the cards, not just memorize some meanings and some ideas, to actually learn them so that you can go about your day with a confidence, knowing that you can read these intuitively. So in case you need a reminder of the method that we're going to use, we're going to be starting by picking out the main elements of a card. Then we're going to look at the nuance, and then we're going to look at what questions present themselves within the card before we go over the quick meaning. I'm going to spend only a couple minutes on each card, otherwise we could be here all day. And there's something else that I want to show you throughout this. You might often hear tarot readers say that decks speak with different voices. Now this can be a kind of difficult concept to grasp and to learn, and this is largely down to the artwork of a deck. So I'm going to be illustrating a few of these cards with a couple other cards from different decks within the swords so that you can start to get an idea of what we mean by a different voice. Let's dive straight in. First, we're starting with our Ace of Swords. The Ace is also the element that we're working with in its purest and most generalized form. So this is also a representation of the air element and doubling down on the things around air: communication, ideas, intellect. If you remember from our numerology lesson, Ace also being the number 1 is the start of a new journey. It's a beginning, it's also joy and naivety, expectation, all those things that comes with something being new. So what are the main things that we can see in this card? We've got the sword pointing upwards, we've got the hand coming from the sky that's holding it, we've got a crown around the sword with 2 plants hanging off either side. You've got mountains off into the distance. When we look at the nuance of this card, we can see that the sword is being held upright. It's not in a fighting position, kind of in a presentation manner for everyone to see, for all to see. The crown is around the point of the sword. This is doubling down on that idea of intellect, that these are things of the mind, and the rest of this suit is going to represent of the mind. It's also sovereignty of our own ideas, that we are in control of our own minds and our own thoughts and our own thought processes, even when sometimes it feels like we're not. The 2 plants that hang off of, there is debate about what these 2 plants are. This one's definitely a bay laurel, and the laurel wreath was about peace, but also royalty and sovereignty. And there's one that's mostly leaves and one that's mostly berries. Again, there's arguments about what these plants actually are. But you'll see this as a theme throughout. The evergreen nature of one plant and the berries of the other shows that there is seasons to be had as well. The mountains off in the distance. Mountains can also be another symbol of air because they are kind of the highest point before reaching the sky. The mountains also symbolize challenges that we might have to overcome ourselves, especially with our own thoughts and with our own ideas. So what questions arise for you from this card straight away? So mine would be, whose crown's this? Is it mine? Is it my own sovereignty? Is it being sovereign to someone? Whose hand is this? Is it mine? Is it another power? Is it saying that ideas come from us, from within us? Or do ideas come from something other? A power, a flow, a spirit, a deity, a god? Where does the concept of ideas come from? Are they ours? Do we have ownership over our own ideas? Is this sword being presented? Is it held upright so that you can marvel in it, or because you are presenting it to someone? Is it an idea that is meant just for you, for your own pleasure, your own joy, or is it an idea to present to someone else for a greater purpose? Because swords are also conflict. And conflict doesn't need to be a bad thing, and it doesn't need to be a violent thing. It's a part of everyday life. There's often conflict before there's compromise. It's the exchange of ideas. So is this sword also an exchange of ideas? The Ace of Swords is a difficult card to summarize, because the idea of the Ace of Swords is it's all of the questions around the element of air. But I like to summarize the Ace as the birth of a new idea, a new project, a new dream, a new thing that you want to go after. When it's reversed, I read it as the neglect of this idea. A lot of people read reverse meanings as the complete opposite. I read them as a shadow of it. It is related, it is linked. It's not the total opposite, but it's changed, it's moved by other forces, which is why it becomes reversed. The Ace of Swords, when it's faced down, suddenly the sword is round the other way. When it's pointed down to the ground, are we driving it into the ground? Is there force? Is there action behind us? Or are we letting it fall? What happens to this idea? So this is the beginning of the idea, and this is, well, what are we doing with it? It's a question posed to us. It's a challenge that's posed to us. You've got the idea, but what are you doing? Are you moving with it, or are you leaving it? Are you dropping this idea, or are we pushing it forward? As I've said, the aces represent an element. So this is the Ace of Swords from the Heimdall Tarot deck. This is my personal tarot deck, and this is the one I read with most. And it becomes a lot more clear in this one that this is an elemental meaning. There's very little in this card. You don't even see the hilt of the sword, you just see the tip of it. And it is facing downwards, so it's the action, it's the movement. So this card takes the idea of air and adds a lot of action behind it, with the swirling winds, with the point where the sword meets the land. It's also got what looks like swirling water at the bottom as well. It's saying that ideas can't act in isolation. While the meaning is pretty much the same, the spirit of it is different. And that's what we mean by a different voice. The Two of Swords is one of those cards where I feel that the meaning just jumps straight out at you. You'll remember from numerology, the number 2 is balance, but it's also duality, it's choices, decision-making, cooperation. There's a lot in the 2. But what do we see at first glance? Well, we've got this blindfolded figure. They're holding 2 swords and they're crossed over their chest, they're crossed over their heart. The moon is in the sky, but it's still bright, it's still daylight. There's a sea or a lake behind them, but it's fairly calm, it's fairly chill, and that this figure is seated. So what's the nuance in this card when we start to tear it apart a little bit? Well, the swords are crossed over the chest, over the heart. So this is a decision that is based on intellect. It's not based on feelings. They've literally crossed their heart to it. The figure is blindfolded. They don't want to see. The figure is seated. So this is a decision that is taking a very, very long time. The sea is calm and water represents emotion. So there's not an emotional turbulence. This is a very rational, well thought out, slow and meaningful decision-making process, but one that's taking a lot of time, one that they possibly haven't even considered their feelings. Maybe it's a decision that doesn't need feelings. But what's with the blindfold? What are they not willing to see? The moon is a waxing crescent, which is the first part of the moon after the new moon. The new moon is all about a new cycle, new journey, new ideas, a lot like our ace. So the Two of Swords can be seen as the next step. So this is the steps that you've already taken on that new path and new journey. This is the energy starting to rise so that we can keep moving on through our tasks, what it is that we're trying to accomplish and trying to achieve. But we're sat, we're hindered, we're not kind of listening to that lunar energy in this. So what questions jump out? Firstly, for me, it's why are they blindfolded? Like I said, what do they not want to see? Is it because outside forces are clouding their judgment? Or is it this decision means someone's going to get hurt and they just don't really want to see it? Why have they placed themselves here? On the edge of this lake, on the edge of something that can be considered feeling and emotion. Why make a decision with only intellect? Why sit on the edge of emotion and not feel it and not put it in your decision-making process? What does that mean for the decision itself? Why are you struggling to make this decision? If you were holding a single sword, blindfolded and face down, that would symbolize a painful decision. You know you've got to make it, but you don't really want to see it. However, this is two swords crossed over the heart and they're blindfolded. There's multiple options present. Maybe none of them feel great. The upright meaning of this card is pretty easy to decipher. It's a difficult decision. No outcome is going to feel right. There's always some kind of pain attached to it. That's why it's taking us so long to make this decision. There's an element of waiting. Maybe if you wait for long enough, the decision will be made for you. Maybe outside forces will come and save you and make it easier. If I wait long enough, it'll be made for me. It'll get taken away from me. But this is a card of agency. This figure is the one making a decision. They are the one holding the swords. They're the one that has to make this decision. Whether it feels good, whether it feels right or not, this is your decision to make. And that's what this card symbolizes. When we reverse this card, it gives the feeling of falling. That's extra pressure. It's like a doubling down on that decision making, that difficult, torn feeling, but that feeling that it's starting to slip and that you're starting to lose control. It shows us that the swords are about to fall. Maybe you've waited way too long to make this decision, but that pressure is telling us that you need to make this quickly before everything falls. When it's upright, we're choosing which sword drops, where it goes. This one, it's everything is going to fall, both swords and you. I'm going to show you the Two of Swords from another deck because the Two of Swords is a really good one to look at from multiple different decks, as the meaning very rarely changes and the artwork stays pretty consistent, but this is a good one to talk about voice. So this is the Murder of Crows Tarot, and then this is their Two of Swords. For this one, it's still a blindfolded figure, but they're holding two crows. This is the Murder of Crows. Everything is crows in this, and I love that. It's very dark. It's very broody. There's a lot of this one. Instead of this one, the crows are being held over the heart. There's an element of letting go. If I let them go, where will they fly? There's ink smudges around the heart as well, that trying to blur out of that feelings, really trying to be in your head. The figure is still blindfolded. They're still not willing to see. This figure kind of blurs into what looks like a cross made of ivy. And ivy entraps. Ivy grows. Ivy can smother out things. So this decision is feeling all-encompassing and smothering. So that you can see the meaning is the same. Still a decision, still two, still things that don't want to be seen. The voice and the feeling behind it is very different. There's a level of helplessness in this card, while there's a level of agency in this one. The Three of Swords is probably a more well-known card, thanks to popular media, particularly movies and TV shows that use tarot. This is also a fairly easy card to decipher, one that kind of jumps out at us. This is a card that straight away you can see that there's a lot of pain in it. So the number three in numerology, is development, expression, growth, and groups. So what are the main elements of this card? Well, we've got a heart, it's pierced by three swords, and then we've got clouds and rain outside. A lot of people will look at this card and be like, there's not much nuance to it, but there are things that are in this to look at. The heart is pierced by the three swords, but it's not broken. The swords also thrust downwards into the heart, which shows anger, assertiveness, and intention behind this. The storm rages outside, and when we've got rain, again, we've got that tying in the element of water with the clouds tying in the element of air. This is saying that emotions are running rampant and they are turbulent, but they are behind the heart and the swords, which is an important factor. As the Suit of Swords is an air card, this is the rational mind up the front, with the emotions sitting backwards, sitting behind. So you can see that it moves on from the two. The calm waters, a decision that needs to be made, and then this is a lot of pain that comes afterwards. The waters aren't calm, there's a storm and it is raging, but you've got the intellect and you've got the rationality to say that it's not going to last. Questions wise, my immediate one is, who put the swords there? Was it you, or did you at least have a hand in it? Was it a result of your action, or was it the result of someone else's? This card traditionally means betrayal, and if so, who betrayed you? What was that feeling of betrayal like? And what part of you has meant that yes, your heart is pierced, but it's not broken. It's that little bit of hope and courage that sits underneath this card. Sometimes meanings of cards are clear, and this is turmoil, specifically between the heart and the emotions and the head and logic. With this card, I always recall the phrase that you can't think yourself out of feelings. While logic can tell us that the storm's going to pass, the heart still feels all of that pain. Reversed, this card means that the swords are ready to either be pulled out or to fall out. It's allowing the heart to begin healing. When this card becomes reversed, it's asking us to surrender. So to heal, we have to let go. And it can be really hard to let go. And there's a level of acceptance from where you've come from your situation and from everything that's happened to you, so that you can begin to heal. When we turn this card upside down, the storm also changes. It no longer looks like a raging storm in clouds, it looks like lighter rain that's falling on trees, and that's doubling down on that growth aspect of it. When this card is reversed, it's telling us that healing is about to begin, but you need to let it. Next we have the Four of Swords. You'll remember that 4 means structure, stability, endurance, and long-term patterns. So what's the main elements when we look at this card? We've got the stained glass window in the back, and this scene as a whole appears to be a church. There are 3 swords on the wall, and there's a 4th down here on this tomb. This is a tomb effigy with their hands appearing to be in prayer. They're the main elements. We've got a church, so we've got kind of sanctuary. We've still got the swords. We're still in that element of air. We're still in that thought and that intellect. But what's the nuance in this card? So the figure on the coffin has their hands in prayer, and they appear to be in armour. It's the idea of finally being at rest after a fight. So after the conflict that came with the 3, we can finally put it down. The building appears to be a church. That's the idea of sanctuary, an idea of a place where rest can be sacred. The stained glass window at the back appears to show a figure kneeling in prayer, possibly a saint, possibly the figure here that is in this tomb, that is at rest. The window might have been broken during or after the fight. The reason that this card is so closely associated with rest, when we see a tombstone and most people think the final rest, it's the idea of being at rest, and you've got the sanctuary of a church. So what questions arise? Does this figure need rest because of battle? Well, they're in armour. That kind of tells us that they do. They have a sword about them, so that tells them that they've been fighting, and it's a time to put it down and to rest. Who broke the window? It might seem like such a little detail, but if this figure in the window is the figure on the tombstone, then is it someone resenting the fact that this figure is resting? Is it the outside expectation that we should constantly be doing and moving and pursuing when we need rest? Upright, this card is sanctuary and rest. Especially after a long period of fighting or turmoil, after grief, after despair, after anger. It's important that we need to find a sanctuary, we need to pause, we need to rest. When we reverse this card, it looks like the figure is going to fall onto the swords. And this is quite a good indicator of burnout. We all need to rest. No matter how much we're doing, when we're doing it, we all need rest. And if we don't rest, our body is going to decide when we rest, and it's going to be at the most inopportune times. That's kind of what this card is showing us. If you don't find that place where you can rest and you can take sanctuary and you can be allowed to rest, what's going to happen? What's going to come next? And how bad is it going to be? Next, we've got our 5 of Swords. If you remember from numerology, we called this the plot twist card. This is the midway point. Something's got to change. 5 also is conflict, challenge, fluctuation. Let's go straight in with the main elements of this card. So we've got 5 swords, strewn about, 2 on the floor, 1 midway being picked up, 2 are being held. There is 1 figure picking them up. There are 3 figures in total in this card, but none of them are looking at you, they are all looking away. There are cloudy skies, it looks incredibly windy, you can see ripples on the water. So at first glance, this card doesn't seem to be giving us too much, but in the nuance there is a lot in this card. So all the figures seem to be turned away after a battle and in different levels of distress. Here's the main thing to think about. They're turned away from you, so wherever you are where the battle was. You are where the distress was. They're looking away from you. It's varying degrees of distress. The figure that is furthest away has their head in their hands and are sobbing. The figure in the middle distance appears to have blood on them. They're looking at that figure, but we can't see their face. We don't know what they're feeling. The figure up the front appears to have a slight smirk on their face, but they are still the ones cleaning up after battle. They're still the ones picking up the swords. The wind is still raging. So when we're looking at the air element, we're really looking at the conflict part of it in this card. So questions. What questions come up? Well, what are they turned away from? What was the battle? What was the fight? What dread lies behind them where we're sitting? How does this figure have the courage, perhaps, or the audacity, depending, have the courage or audacity to continue, to pick up the swords, to carry on? What is it that they've lost? Because they all must have lost something. Here we're seeing what happens after the battle. It's a place where everyone loses. Everyone has lost something. Different degrees of dread and pain will come from that, but everyone here has faced a loss. There's no winner in this card. The emotions range from despair to a slightly proud smirk, but he's still cleaning up after the fight. He still needs to pick up the swords. He still needs to pick up what is left. The card is asking us to literally pick our battles, to think about the cost before getting involved in something and ask, is it a price that we're actually willing to pay? When we reverse this card, that smirk turns into a slight frown. It's then an awareness that this is a fight that's going nowhere. It can be a signal of escalating friction. Maybe if you're in a bit of a fraught situation and things are like slowly rising and slowly getting a little bit worse. But it is nudging us towards reconciliation, towards forgiveness to ourselves, forgiving ourselves for maybe decisions we've made, forgiving others for those that hurt us. But this is asking us to start critically evaluating. Maybe it's a project. Maybe it's an idea. Maybe it's something you've got yourself involved in. And ask yourself, is this worth it? Is it actually worth it? And being prepared for what the answer of that is. The 6 of Swords is what has come directly after the battle. You'll remember that 6 is harmony. It's commitment. It's alignment, and it's community. So what are the main elements coming forth in this card? So we've got 2 figures in a boat, and one looks like an adult, one looks like a child. There's a 3rd figure rowing the boat. Because they're using one of these sticks, we know that they're on a canal, a shallow river or a lake, not an ocean, not out in a boundless sea, and that they are going somewhere in particular. There are 6 swords on the boat, and the background scene's still, almost serene. But let's see what the nuance of this card has to say. The head of the person wrapped in blanket is covered, as is that of the child, so we can't see their face or what they're feeling, but their heads appear to be bowed, possibly in mourning. These also represent different parts of the self. That childlike nature, naive, often idyllic part of us, and that more grown-up, rational, understanding part of us. The swords seem to be either side of these characters, holding them in place, almost confining them to the boat. The figure pushing this small boat away only looks on, looks forward and looks ahead. He's not looking down at the figures. He has a job that he has to do and he continues on and he does it. So what questions arise? Well, firstly, I get, where are they going? Are they going somewhere or are they leaving somewhere behind? Are they taking the swords with them as memories or are they trying to lay something to rest? This card really gives the feeling of a funeral procession, of mourning, of grief. It's leaving something behind for better or worse. They could be returning to give the news of this tragedy. And as the swords on either side of them, the reminder of this fight, this tragedy, this grief is acting as their prison. I can't help but look at the Five of Swords, the card before, and the final figure right in the back, who's faced away in fear and sobbing. And I always wonder if they are watching these people row away on a boat, away from them, leaving them behind. In short, upright, the 6 means moving on. The 6s are an indicator of many things, but one of them is community. This speaks of leaving a community of some kind. You get the sense that each sword is a person, is something that's lost. It's something that they've had to move on from but are still being trapped by. Reversed, this is a card that cannot move on from the grief, that keeps returning and trying to create distance from the past, from where they've come from. It's a sense of being trapped and a sense of powerlessness, being trapped in old cycles of grief, not getting closure, not mourning, and not actually feeling the grief. So you continuously come back to where you started. I'm going to show you the 6 of Swords from the Druidcraft Tarot, because this changes the meaning of the card, which is very interesting because it gives us the card from the other perspective. We're now seeing the front of the boat, not behind the boat. We have 2 figures, a man and a woman. We have the 6 swords. It doesn't seem to be trapping them. It seems to be there encircling them. There's a very neutral expression on the figures' faces, but we do see their faces. Is it hope? Is it apprehension? We've got the weeds of the shallow lake around them, and we've got the figure who is moving them forward. He's hooded, he's cloaked. But this older figure looks like the hermit or the wizard from the Major Arcana here, which adds a layer of wisdom pushing you through mourning and tragedy. So you can see the card meaning is largely the same, but it has changed slightly. And this is how the voice changes. This is more mourning and this is more hopeful. Let's look at the 7 of Swords. When we look at this card, we are immediately captured by the figure in front. What's he doing? Fun little jig. Let's break this down. So, number 7 from numerology, introspection, investigation, reflection, and like inner work. So what is this card trying to tell us? Let's start with the main elements that we see of this card. We've got a figure. He's balancing multiple swords. There are 2 stuck firmly in the ground, and the rest he is trying to take all at once and balance. There is a big carnival happening in the background, a fair, something quite joyous and fun. So let's look at the nuance of the card. He's doing an almost Scooby-Doo-ish kind of sneak away, trying to move really quietly. He's looking behind him, he's worried he's going to get caught. He's trying not to be seen. While the fair happens actively in the background, he moves away. The 2 swords in the back look almost like a doorway. It's something that he's leaving behind. There are figures far off in the distance of this card, and the white cloud behind them is indicative of a cloud of smoke. So they're outside around a campfire. The carnival tents are opulent and full of wealth. There's a disparity in the background between those that have and those that do not. What are the questions? Why is he stealing the swords? And who is he taking them to? Is it these figures here? What are they going to do if they get them? Is this a revolt? Is this some kind of uprising? Is he trying to avoid tragedy? Maybe these ones are the aggressors. How did he go about getting the swords in the first place? And is he going to get caught? Upright, this card is deception. So either you are being deceived or are the deceiver. There's a little bit more to it, but there's shame and guilt behind the reason for the deception. Worried that you're going to get caught about something that you've done or said or even thought. There's a lot of internal shame from this upright card as well. There's also a sense of trying to achieve balance, or maybe listening to someone else to the point where you don't listen to yourself anymore. Reversed, this is self-deception. The idea of wanting to believe something that is too good to be true. Maybe trying to talk yourself into a lie. It asks you that if someone has told you something, was it the right thing to do? Have you questioned it? Have you analysed it? Is it true, or do you just want it to be true? The Eight of Swords is an immediately striking card. Eights in numerology were achievement, perfection, power, authority, also gratitude. I don't see much gratitude in this, do you? Let's have a look at the main elements before breaking this down. You've got 9 swords plunged into the ground quite forcefully so that they have managed to stay standing. There's a figure standing tied and blindfolded in these tide pools at the base of a cliff. And there's a castle off way in the distance overlooking this scene, but the air is still. There's no raging storm, there's no winds. It's calm and it's peaceful. Nuances. This card teaches us something interesting about tarot. It's looking at what's not there. Particularly, there are 2 big elements that aren't there. Firstly, people. There's no one else in this card. And secondly, there's no binding on their legs. There's no one stopping them from running away. This figure can move and go. The outside world is literally peaceful. There's no turbulence in the air. There's no one there acting menacingly or threateningly. The outside world is peaceful and she can leave. But it's fears that keep them there. They're standing in a tidal pool, just waiting for the tide to come in and take them away, to end this misery that they've left themselves in. So what questions arise when we look at this card? Why is the figure tied up? Who tied them up? Are they being punished? Why don't they leave? Do the people in the castle actually look on, or do you just think that they do? Is it only the perception of their eyes that keep them here? Upright, this is a card of self-sabotage. It's a pretty easy one to see. Other outside forces may have put you here. You have chosen to stay here. Their eyes are covered, hands are tied. They can still stand, their legs aren't bound. They're not trapped. It's not that this is a conscious choice not to run either. The eyes are covered, this is unconscious. It's the perceptions that keep you there, perceptions you have of yourself or that other people have of you. Even if the world around you is calm and peaceful, you still feel like you can't move on. You feel like you are a victim of your own circumstance, just waiting for death. Reversed. This is telling you that the time has come to take control. This card reverses as the tide begins to roll in. Is that going to make the swords more confined around you? Or is it going to knock them over and give you more space to run? This is saying that now is the time to free yourself. Now is the time to make that decision. It's not a time to be hesitating over what might work and what might not. This is a time for action and decisive action. This card represents those moments where you feel incredibly lost and is offering you the chance to take your own power back. The fairly distressing image of the 9 of Swords is the direct result of the 8 of Swords not taking their power back. You'll remember that the 9s mean nearing completion. They mean abundance, attainment, attunement. That also means an abundance of negative emotions, attaining negativity. A lot of people think abundance and attainment are great things, but not if you are attaining the wrong thing and have an abundance of negativity, which is what this card is. Let's break it down. Main elements. What have we got? We've got the figure sitting up in bed with their head in their hands. They've got this decorative quilt. They've got this ornate bed. There are 9 swords going horizontally. You can't see the ends of them, and they look like they're passing straight through the figure. And the background is completely black. So what about the nuance of this card? Well, the black background tells us that this is actually internal. If you look at all of the other cards, the sky is represented by either some kind of yellow or green or just a parchment colour. In this card, the black is saying that this is all internal. This is all inside your mind. The quilt has both astrological symbols on it as well as flowers, which is a representation of both the heavens and the earth. And as we lie under that quilt, we are influenced by both the heavens and the earth, but we're allowing that influence to take away our control when we lie under a blanket of that. The carving on the bed is deliberately vague, but it seems to be a figure that is either pushing down or pulling up another figure. And the white nightgown is that of innocence and purity. The swords, horizontal, look like they're going through the head of this person. Again, doubling down on that air element and that intellect, that being inside of the mind. And the most important part is that you don't see the end of the swords. They just keep going. There's a sense of endlessness and despair in this card. So What does this look like? This looks like a nightmare. So what questions come up? What is the nightmare that they're having? Are they waking from a nightmare, or are they still inside of it? Why do they feel so helpless? This card represents anxiety. It represents worry, nightmares, those spiraling thoughts. Every single sword is like another train of thought that you just can't seem to get off of. The main thing in this card is not being able to see the point of the swords. This is thoughts and anxieties spiraling and running away with you. There is no seeming end to this feeling and this spiral. There's a real sense of helplessness in this card. When it's reversed, this is saying that this is a reoccurring problem. With the quilt back at the top, so the elements of heavens and earth back at the top, it's inviting us to break the cycle. It reminds us that out there is a whole world. The heavens, the stars, but also the earth and the physical, all those things that are carved into the bottom of the bed, now at the top. And it's a time to start breaking these cycles and breaking through the negativity that comes with these spirals. The imagery of the 10 of Swords is stark and definitive. The numerology of the number 10 is an ending, so the completion of a cycle, the start of a new one, the full circle moment. And this is certainly an ending. Main elements, let's have a look. So you've got a figure lying dead on the ground, 10 swords coming out their back. The black sky that is fading into yellow, or the yellow fading into black. They are the real main elements of this card. Let's go straight into the nuance of it. The swords are all in the back, and these are all of the trials and things that you've gone through. You're not entirely at fault. Your own actions may have led to this moment, but it wasn't all you're doing. There were outside factors that maybe you bent to. So many swords implies passion and action. The blanket that is placed over the figure was clearly there before the swords were inserted, which implies a level of comfort and safety that was perhaps your own undoing, or implies that there is comfort in this discomfort. You're so used to being in this place of discomfort that this is your new normal. The sky is going from that heavy black darkness, that internal that we saw in the 9 of Swords, to the yellow that we've seen in other cards, so back to actual sky. So what questions arise? Is the darkness emerging, or is it clearing? Where are the people? The people that put the swords here. They are the main 2 questions I get from this. And that's because the meaning of this card is so simple and so heavy, all at the same time. This card upright is a dramatic ending. Is it failure or is it closure? You have fallen with the darkening skies, or you fell when the skies were dark and the light is starting to return. You may not have put the swords there, but you did have a hand in it. Did you lust for power? Did you bite off more than you can chew? Did you go for the wrong thing? Did you seek the wrong kind of truth? This card ends with just you, fallen, and the sky is beginning to clear or starting to darken. Maybe you're holding on to an idea that the people that put the swords here are still there waiting for you, that you can't get up and try again because you'll end up here again. Maybe it's a cycle that needs breaking. Part of this card is responsibility for the part you played in this downfall, but it's also about getting back up and continuing and trying again. When we reverse this card, it is still an ending, but it does look more like a transition stage. We've had this dramatic ending. Our world has literally been turned upside down, and it presents us with the question, what's next? The 10 of Swords reversed is an invitation. It's an outstretched hand that asks us to stand up and to start again. When you have the reverse 10 of Swords, it shares a lot of meaning with the Death card of the Major Arcana. That rebirth that comes after a failure or an ending. Let's try and summarise that, because that was a lot that you just took in. So when we look at the journey through the Suit of Swords, we can see that it seems like quite a violent one, and you can see a lot of links between the different swords. But let's try and summarise these in a few brief words. The Ace of Swords, upright is clarity, and reversed is confusion. The 2 of Swords upright is indecision, and the reversed is pressure. The 3 of Swords upright is turmoil, and the reversed is forgiveness. The 4 of Swords upright is Sanctuary, the reversed is Collapse. The 5 of Swords upright is a painful victory. Reversed is a painful loss and reconciliation. 6 upright is moving on, and the 6th reversed, grief and closure. The 7th of Swords upright is deception of others, while reversed it's the deception of the self. The 8th upright is self-sabotage, while the reversed is taking back control. The 9 upright is shame. The reverse is despair. 10 upright is ruin, and 10 reversed is hope. The Swords tells us a story, and it leaves us with warnings about power. The power we have, the power we give away, the power we covet, the power we corrupt. Each card leads to the next. Each card has their own consequences for us, for our lives, for our actions, and for our indecisions. Finally, let's move on to our homework. Your homework this week is to sit with the swords. Only the swords. Each day this week, if you can, or just a couple days, draw one of the sword cards. You can pick which one, or you can draw it randomly. Ask yourself one of these 3 questions and see if the advice from the sword can help you. So why did I put down my last project? What truth am I refusing to see? What thought patterns do I use to avoid my feelings? As an added bonus homework that you can do to embody the element of air is to spend 10 minutes cloud gazing. Either inside from a window or outside, laying down somewhere. Gaze at the clouds for 10 minutes and just see what shapes appear to you. But at the same time, watch your own mind. Is it running away? Is it trying to avoid? Does it feel bored? Is it enjoying the moment? Does it feel peaceful? Just spend some time when you have nothing to occupy yourself, seeing what your mind does. That is the pip cards of the Suit of Swords. I threw a lot of information at you, so feel free to keep coming back to the video and take your time learning it. It is a lot to learn. You've done really well. And next lesson, we will be doing the Suit of Pentacles, the 1 to 10 pip cards in our Earth element. So I hope you have a lovely rest of your day wherever you are, and I will see you very soon for the Suit of Pentacles. Bye guys. Pip cards within the Suit deck. At the Suit of Cards. Oh my god, I did it. I've just filmed for so long. Can't stand a wobbly desk. Come on. I realised I haven't got my ring on and I feel naked, so I need to go get it. Hold on. Right, better. Marriage.